This is my trusty Gretsch Tennessee Rose, also known as a Tennessean, and this video is 5 things you didn't know about George Harrison's Gretsch Tennessean guitar. Now, I'm sure most Beatle nerds already know this, but a lot of people don't realize that Harrison played a few different Gretsch guitars during his time with the Beatles. I had gotten a few requests to do a video on George's Gretsches, so I figured I'd point out that there's actually more than one. Breaking it down, Harrison primarily played 4 different Gretsch guitars during his Beatles career. A 1957 Duo Jet up until their first album, a 1962 Gretsch Country Gentleman, a 1963 Gretsch Country Gentleman, and finally a 1963 Tennessean, which is what this video is about. A lot of people associate this guitar with 1964 to 1965 in the Beatles' career, sort of the height of Beatlemania. But what a lot of people don't realize is that George actually purchased this guitar back in 1963, before the Beatles had even made their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show and before Beatlemania swept America. 1965 is often considered to be the height of Beatlemania. In the Help movie, you can actually spot him playing the Tennessean on a couple of songs. He also used it in most live performances throughout 1965, including the famous Shea Stadium performance that was witnessed by nearly 56,000 people. However, something that a lot of people don't know is that George actually bought this guitar back in late 1963. I wish there were more evidence available, but you can see in photos from the 1963 UK Christmas shows that Harrison is indeed holding a Gretsch Tennessean. You can also spot the guitar much more clearly in January 1964 performances, again before the Ed Sullivan Show in February. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that the Gretsch Tennessean was actually a cheaper model than the more deluxe Country Gentleman. There's a ton of little differences between these two models, and I'm gonna basically point out the main ones. So moving from top to bottom, the Tennessean has a plain black headstock, whereas the Country Gentleman is bound and features a custom nameplate. The Tennessean has standard nickel tuners, and back then they're actually not even branded on the guitar, they're just blank. I think they were Gretsch Waverly back then, but the modern ones actually have Grover Stay-Tights. Either way, the Country Gentleman had Grover Imperial tuners back then, which were deluxe. The Tenny has a single cutaway, whereas the Country Gentleman is a double, which improves playability. The Tenny also has single coil HiLo'Tron pickups, and the Gent has humbucking Filtertrons. Both have fake painted on F-holes, but the Tennys are outlined in white for some reason. And this isn't actually consistent. There's a lot of Tennys where they're not outlined, but in terms of Harrison's guitars, this is a difference. The Country Gentleman also has string mutes, which is another deluxe feature. The Tenny has standard chrome hardware, whereas the Gent has deluxe gold plating. On the backside, the Tenny is fairly plain. The Country Gentleman actually has a nice leather pad for added comfort, and a lot of people don't know this because you never really see the backside of this guitar when people are playing it on stage. And finally, the Tenny also has no binding on the backside, whereas the Gent is double bound. Gretsch has had some licensing issues over the years with Chet Atkins, so that's why mine does not have his signature on the pickguard. They've since reacquired the name, so newer reissues do have the signature again, but I'm not really sure why they renamed it to Tennessee Rose. Now, with all these supposed downgrades, you might be asking yourself, why would George come to prefer his Tennessean over the more deluxe Country Gentleman? And the answer to that question is they sound completely different. Now, Tennesseans sound a lot different because they have single coil HiLo'Tron pickups, and basically they're a lot twangier, kind of like a Fender. I also have to mention, these were somewhat popular instruments, and several other 60s musicians can be spotted playing them. David Crosby of the Byrds, for one, as well as Jerry of Jerry and the Pacemakers. Unfortunately, like many Beatles guitars, the whereabouts of Harrison's Gretsch Tennessean are currently unknown. No one knows for sure what happened to this guitar, but I believe its last public appearance was November 1965 during the taping of a TV special, The Music of Lennon and McCartney. It's speculated that the instrument was used during the Rubber Soul sessions, but really no one knows for sure. Some people claim that the Tennessean shows up in pictures from the Sgt. Pepper sessions, but personally I've never seen a photo verifying this. Others claim it was stolen from the legendary EMI storage closet during the Revolver sessions. Whatever the case may be, the guitar was considered untrackable for many years because the serial number itself was also missing. That was until late 2023 when I posted a video revealing the serial number, which I found using photographic analysis of old film negatives. Check out the link to this video in the description. Hopefully this discovery will help track down this guitar, but who knows for sure. At last, here we are, here's the tone demo. First thing I want to show you is what these knobs and switches all do, because they're actually a little different than most guitars. So as you would expect, this first one is actually the pickup selector, and up is going to give you neck, middle gives you both of them, and down will do the bridge pickup. This is actually the one you see George flip with extreme precision before the guitar solo in many live performances. So this other switch is actually a tone control. It basically gives you 3 sort of predefined settings for tone, and I guess the idea behind it is that this would be faster than turning a traditional tone knob. This top position emphasizes bass, the middle position is neutral, and the lower position is a slight high frequency roll-off. This is the master volume knob. I tend to keep it at the max because vintage wiring guitars like this don't have a treble bleed circuit, so this ends up acting like a tone knob and sort of drops your high end. Most modern guitars have a special treble bleed circuit that prevents this. I actually installed one on my Telecaster because it had the same issue. These 2 knobs down here control the volume of the individual pickups so that you can blend them while you're in the middle position. And finally, this switch back here is sort of a legacy feature. It's actually a standby switch, which is basically a kill switch for the guitar. So I guess if you're talking or somebody is announcing the next song, you can just flip this and it cuts the sound completely. So for this tone demo, I'm going to showcase every possible arrangement. So I'm going to do the pickups and then swap between all the different tones, and I'm going to do it back to back so you can hear a perfect comparison of what it actually does. Then I'll play a couple segments from songs that you'll probably recognize. On a side note, in a future video, I'm gonna do a string comparison. I often switch between D'Addario, Thomastik, Infeld, and Pyramids, and I'd like to finally do an accurate sound comparison between them. Lastly, I'll be playing this through my Vox AC15 amplifier, and I'll be using D'Addario Chrome's flat wound strings, 11s with a wound G.